يعني حقيقة أن الجميع يعني شعر
In
بالارتياح
fact,
عندما تم اتفاق وقف إطلاق
all
النار،
parties
لكن
have
من
felt
المنظر من هي القوى
relieved
الملزمة بوقف إطلاق النار
when
أو
a
بالتعامل
ceasefire
حقيقة
agreement was
وهذا
reached. But the question is,
هذا
who's going
الاتفاق
to
يبدو
be
أن
in
طرفي
charge of
المبادرة والإشراف
observing the
وحزب الله.
execution of
النقطة الآن كيف
this
يعني تضع
ceasefire agreement right now? It seems we only have two parties here, which are Hezbollah and Israel themselves. And the one who has the right to defend itself right now is Hezbollah, because the Lebanese government, over the last previous period, which was replete with skirmishes, the Lebanese government was nearly absent. And so there has to be right now negotiations to be carried out between Hezbollah and the Lebanese government in order for the Lebanese formal government to speak on behalf of Hezbollah. And we now have a political vacuum in the Lebanese state, and it's just the head of the Lebanese parliament that we have. And so, the Israel or the Israeli occupation forces stated that they have not yet achieved their goals. And so Israel is now considering this ceasefire agreement as some kind of a lifebuoy for itself, and Hezbollah perceives it in the same light. But the execution of the actual ceasefire agreement is actually the predicament that we have right now, specifically in light of Israel, bombing some venues under the pretext that they have observed some kind of violation to the ceasefire agreement. And right now we can say that we are back to square zero, which is the period before October the 27th. And what do I mean by that? I mean by that any kind of party of the belligerent parties right now can just claim that there is some kind of a violation to the ceasefire agreement, and they can violate this agreement under this pretext. And of course, Israel, because it has a lot of apprehensions of being defeated by Hezbollah, it was, I would say, obliged to sit down and sign this ceasefire agreement. However, there are no clear guarantees to or that can secure a full compliance to the provisions of this ceasefire agreement. And so I can say that we are now before a new phase that is unfolding right now. I hope it's not going to be replete with escalation, but I believe that the two belligerent parties are not going to just, abide by the provisions of the agreement.
Okay. Well, on that point, Mr. Malkawi, could I ask you, is it likely, in your view, that the fighting will resume after the 60 days stipulated in the ceasefire agreement?
There are items and provisions in the agreement that allow Israel to stay deployed in the region for 60 days and to withdraw over the course of 3 days, like over every 20 days, it will withdraw partially. But we all know that Israel, once it occupies a region, it never really withdraws. That's something we all know. And so, based off of that, we, right now in 2024, And no other agreement that has to do with the withdrawal of Israeli occupation forces was enacted at all. But when it comes to the return of displaced persons from the north in occupied Palestine and the settlements there, and the return of the Lebanese displaced persons to their original places, regarding this subject, we all know that Israel is not going to let this happen. I believe it is Hezbollah's and Lebanon's right to allow settlers to go back to their settlements to the north of the occupied Palestine.